Hello guys, I like cheese, and I like playing games. I am archiving myself, playing these story-driven games as an additional motivation since I always skip and save them for quote-unquote other days, whatever reason I come up with just to not play them. Also because I've been a sucker for live service games for so long that I didn't have the time to play all these great games through the years. Final Fantasy X. The first Final Fantasy on the PS2, the first with voice acting, and the first to go back to a 3-character party setup. Kind of annoyed about that, not gonna lie. After FF9's return to fantasy roots, FF10 takes us to Spira, this interesting world that blends island culture with religious fanaticism and a mysterious entity called Sin. The premise is interesting. Tidus getting flung far into the future, going from high-tech Zanarkand to what feels like a more primitive island-based civilization. It's a cool setup, but the execution? Mixed bag for me. Oh, and finally, voice acting is here. Still kind of feeling out Tidus's narration and inner monologues for story progression. Sometimes it works, sometimes, well, we'll get to that. With the English voices sometimes just going faster or slower depending if it fits the original Japanese length. Enough of this. Let's get into the other factors. Now on to the first section, the sphere grid system. Let's talk about the sphere grid. This is FFX's progression system, and honestly, it seems overcomplicated when you could probably just enable everything on it normally. You move nodes on this giant grid, unlock stat boosts and abilities. It's supposed to give you customization, but in practice, it feels unnecessarily convoluted. Each character has their own path on the grid, which makes sense thematically since they each have specific roles. But it just adds to the feeling that this game is way too restrictive about how you're supposed to play. I realized later that you can eventually get almost all characters the same or similar due to how the sphere grid works. But by that point, I'd already focused on just 3 characters as my main party. Which brings me to another issue. Party switching and character roles. Party switching in this game is weird. You can freely switch party members mid-battle, which sounds flexible, but here's the thing. The classes and jobs are way too linear and specific for each character. Tidus is fast. Wakka handles flying enemies. Auron and Kimahri have piercing attacks for armored foes. Lulu does magic. Yuna summons. Riku does Riku things. The game really funnels you into using specific characters for specific enemy types. Flying enemies, big armored enemies, elemental weaknesses. It's a bit annoying early that they push you to be this specific toward everything and not have other ways to play. Feels way too hand-holdy for me. I don't like being told, use this character for this enemy type constantly. Let me figure it out myself or make my own strategies work. That's why I focused only on 3 characters and grinded enough grid points to be able to get into other sections and get their supposed unique abilities and skills too. Also, Wakka, Riku, and Tidus being the only usable party in water? Come on. The forced character switching for specific situations gets old fast. Don't get me started with equipment system. The weapons and armors just having abilities and not other stats like defense and attack power feels weird too. You're not looking for higher attack values or better defense, you're just looking for better ability combinations. It's different, and not necessarily in a good way. You just have to look into element weaknesses, and that too, element weakness being just opposites, fire and ice being strong against each other, lightning and water also being like that. It feels too simplified to be implemented on the 10th iteration of the Final Fantasy title. Blitzball. Let me rant about this thing. Seriously, I don't get Blitzball. I hate it! I was trapped on the mandatory Blitzball match because I can't score. It's so annoying. I can't even lose for a long time. I don't get the factors and mechanics regarding blocks and stats. I had to watch a tutorial on Blitzball to at least understand what's going on, but I still don't get it. Even when I try to press the button when I'm free, I'm suddenly not free, and there's a lot of defenders blocking me. I don't get it. I got stuck for more than an hour on the first game, and I am never going to touch this ever again. Wakka is dependent on Blitzball for his ultimate weapon and overdrives, but I guess I'm just not going to use him. Why make a mandatory minigame this complicated and this unclear about its mechanics? I hated this as a minigame overall. Even with comparing this to card games from FF8 and FF9 and the bunch of minigames FF7 have, this sports thing is just, I hate it. Meanwhile, Shrines having minigame puzzles is an interesting addition. I have looked at a guide, so I somewhat have cheated, but it's definitely achievable and discoverable to be done easily without looking at guides and walkthroughs. These aren't frustrating and are decent enough to be done without frustrating the players. It's mostly logic and general common sense. No overly complicated puzzles. I like them overall. Let's get into the Aeon's summon system. I have mixed feelings about how the Eidolons, Aeons, summon creatures work in this game. It functions somewhat like Pokemon, and not a singular attack like in previous games. You summon the creature, and you control it turn by turn like a normal playable character. The summoner duels basically feel like Pokemon battles. I feel like in later stages, you get more value from having 3 characters active rather than 1 Aeon. In one way, it's a good mechanic to have an additional character with its own HP pool and abilities. You can use it to tank a powerful skill that would otherwise KO your party. But it also feels like it slows down combat when you're just trying to progress through areas. Bahamut is the only thing I've used when it is required to summon an Aeon, but aside from that, I completely ignored this system overall. One positive thing, it's comforting that it's a more traditional turn-based system instead of the ATB system that recent FFF titles had. You can actually think about your moves without time pressure. The turn order display is clear and helpful. It's a return to form that I appreciated after the somewhat stress-inducing active time battle system. Technical issues in this game, remaster or port, whatever version I played. Some scenes get visual errors or sometimes freeze. I hate it. The Sin attack on Mushroom Rock encountered a green screen, and it's right before a boss battle, so I can't easily restart it. I had to go to YouTube just to see the scenes. It crashes sometimes. I was even close to dropping the game entirely. I somewhat fixed it by reducing some settings and stuff, but even with that, I didn't even get to see the final ending scenes properly. I had to go to YouTube just to see how it concluded. That's somewhat unacceptable for a remaster. These technical issues really hurt my experience with the game and added to my negative frustrations with the game. Also, the main villain, Seymour, his motives feel lackluster and his character doesn't seem fleshed out. I don't get what his final plan is, other than brainwashing the public by marrying Yuna. He doesn't have a way to beat or control Sin or Yu Yevon. He hasn't done anything particularly scary or impactful. He felt like a villain with no successful achievements as a villain, except probably stealing a kiss from the female lead. Also, he looks evil from the get-go, but everyone in the public adores him for some random reason, just because of his parents' legacy. There's no substance there. Just surface-level, creepy religious figure vibes. I'm also kind of annoyed by the whole religious fanaticism of the people in this universe. Blindly believing in Yevon, following these teachings that are clearly harming them, the Machina ban and hate that makes no sense. It's frustrating to watch, even if that's the point thematically. For characters, I don't know why there's almost always this obnoxious early companion in these games. Barret in FF7, Steiner in FF9, and in this game, Wakka. They're always close-minded for 75% of the game, and then get forced into some redemption arc, realizing their wrongdoings when it's nearing the end. The pattern is exhausting at this point. Tidus feels like only an extra, doesn't have the main character vibe for me, except probably in his outfit. Yuna. I have hated the religious theme overall for this game, so I have mixed feelings for Yuna. She knew about Seymour, but still wanted to go get wed to him. Why? So she could convince him? Why did she keep this from the others? Did she have great convincing hidden powers to speak of? No, she just acted impulsively. Like, if she went through, she would have probably died when confronted by Seymour. And Sin wouldn't be defeated. Spira would not change and would suffer even more. What is she thinking about her impulsive plans? Wakka. Already covered my frustrations with his blitzball dependence and closed-minded personality. Lulu. Felt like the older person who guides the group. She's okay-ish overall. Not annoyed with her dialogues and stuff. Kimahri. No comments about this guy. Barely used it, he barely talked. Felt like a straight-up soldier or something. Auron. Felt like the other older person who guides the group. He's okay-ish overall. Riku. Last party member to join permanently. Overall good, aside from her shenanigans of being afraid of lightnings on the plains. The other characters I don't have much opinion on, since I really focused on just the 3 girls as my main party. I kind of hated that you're forced to use all characters and constantly switch between them for specific situations. After FF9's cohesive return to fantasy, and before that the PS1 trilogy, FFX feels like a transition game. It's trying new things, voice acting, a new world, turn-based combat tweaks, but not all of it lands. The linearity is a step back from the exploration of previous games. The hand-holding with character roles is frustrating. The technical issues plagued my playthrough. Blitzball is terrible. But there are good ideas here. The turn-based system is solid, the Aeon mechanics are interesting, even if underutilized, and the world of Spira has potential, even if the execution is flawed. It sits around somewhere a bit above FF8 and FF2, since I really hated the power systems there aside from the grind aspect, but is below FF7 and FF9 and other FF titles. My final thoughts. Final Fantasy X is a game I wanted to like more than I actually did. The voice acting is a cool addition, even if not all performances land. The world has interesting concepts. The story has potential. But the linearity, the hand-holding, the technical issues, the terrible blitzball, and the weak villain really held it back for me. It's not a bad game, but coming off FF9 and even FF7, it feels like a step backward in some ways, even as it tries to step forward in others. The PS2 era started with this, and I'm hoping the next games in the series learn from both what worked and what didn't in FFX.